Guys, my name's Eisen, back with another Dragon Ball Legends video, and today we are reacting to Goresh'S updated top 10 list. Goresh is a very well-known character in the community. He's one of the most knowledgeable people about the game. Let's go in and see what he has to say about the current top 10.
What a waste of time! This feels special. Fusion! Ha! I am neither Goku nor Vegeta. I'm the guy who's going to stop you.
But up here, let's go ahead and see what he has to say.
Hey guys, today we're going to be jumping into the August 2024 top 10 units list for Dragon Ball Legends. There definitely will be another one of these videos this month because we just got the announcement for Legends Limited Super Saiyan Broly, who transforms into Legendary Super Saiyan Broly.
The GOAT.
I imagine he will probably definitely make at least top 10. He seems to be very strong. Prerequisite points here so you guys can keep these in mind as we go through the list. Every character is considered at 14 stars, best teams, best equips, max title boosts, all that good stuff.
Okay, so that's going to be the standard that he's going.
Ranking is the current placements of the characters in the existing meta, not who is better than who. And then number 3, this list, of course, consists of rankings that are entirely based on my own opinion. I will also probably say this as well. This video, I did have a lot of experience using Omega, not only in the Japan meta, but also in the US meta because of traveling. So this list might have some differentiation.
That's definitely a unique experience.
I think also was US influenced as well, but yeah, they're both going to have influence there. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the list itself, and we'll start with number 10, which actually is going to be a shared spot. Alrighty, so number 10, I'm actually going to have shared between two characters. This is not going to be 10/9. I'm just going to straight up just call this number 10. I have 9 other characters on this list that I definitely think are...
We gotta let UI Goku go, dog. UI Goku is not him anymore. UI Goku is not him anymore. Let the man rest. It is over for the man. He doesn't... What does he even do anymore? What does he even do? What team are you running him on? You know? Like, UI Goku got nothing no more. Chat, he's gone. UI Goku is just gone. He has no team now that Gohan's gone. Blast with him is just not, it's not good. And he himself is just not doing enough, man. He's just not doing enough. Not to say that he can't come back. He could definitely come back into the meta. But let him rest. Chat, he's gone. Get him out. Golden Frieza's here by himself, in my opinion.
I think UI Goku is still a very effective character. Defensively, with his dodging gauge, he has...
Defensively? UI Goku? Are we playing the same game? His gauge ain't enough. Nowhere near enough.
The subcount manipulation generates the green cards. Definitely still hits pretty hard, just naturally during like typical combos. So I don't really think this UI Goku has like all of a sudden just fallen off a cliff or something like that. It's just they are specifically designing characters around this character being able to enter the battlefield and snipe them out with like there being no counterplay. Every character coming out these days has some way to deal with UI Goku. I could definitely see this character dropping off the top 10 potentially when Broly drops, considering that Broly's a red character, but we will see.
He's already gone.
Frieza,
He's just
Frieza
already gone, man.
He's cursed by being not on a lot of teams. I actually think the opposite is true for Frieza. I think Broly could actually really help Frieza. They're both movie characters. You can sort of
100%.
make a movie core team with those two. Purple and red have always been two colors that work pretty well with each other.
I wouldn't agree that Frieza doesn't have a lot of teams, considering that he does have access to movies, PO, Frieza, Force, LOE, and all these other teams. And he can also just leader slot. So I wouldn't agree that he doesn't have a lot of teams, and that's why he's being held back. It's more just he doesn't really have a third unit on some of his teams. Honestly, his best setup might just be red, red, purple with Broly, CMZ, and himself.
Not really his fault. It's more so just the teams around him aren't as good. And also, I think there's a lot of really good yellow characters that exist right now, which could be a problem. So this is going to be a shared number 10 spot between Ultra UI Goku and Ultra Golden Frieza. Let's move on to number 9 next. Coming in at number 9, we have the 1% sparking green evil Boo. I think this character,
my brother in Christ,
for a 1% sparking character, we typically don't see characters this good.
Booga is good, but he's not him. Especially when you're looking at Golden Frieza and all these other guys. Come on, man. I don't know. No, I don't see it. Like I can. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't see it.
I think it's a bit different right now because we have the Zenkai Blue Kid Buu, and you could run this guy, and you could sort of make like a regen core bench.
I agree with the bench point because the bench for the team sucks. You're getting a lot of double defense on that bench, a lot of strike attack for a blast team, all these other things. Definitely agree with the bench point, but I also don't see how we can say Bugha is in the top 10 when 90% of the times he might just be getting one shot. That's just what happens when Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is going to ult. Like somebody has to take it, and one unit on your team always is not canceling buffs. And even if the buffs are being canceled, unless Gohan's coming in on it, somebody is probably still gonna die to it. That's just the reality of what Gogeta does. And I feel like bringing Bugha is kind of just putting you at that liable spot. However, if it's more like a proud focus, which we saw in the beginning with the criteria that it's not, I would have seen the argument, but I don't see why you'd say Bugha is better than Golden Frieza right now, even considering how good Majin Buu Saga is, because Golden Frieza can also just run himself with CMZ. Right now, he's going to be getting Broly soon, and he also has access to people like Omega, and then you just leader slot a good third unit, and you're cooking. That's just what it is. So I think that Bugha is kind of just not there, but I can kind of see the thought process. Let's go ahead and go to 8 and 7.
Buu, these are both Zenkai characters that released during the 6th anniversary. The 6th anniversary did a really good job at giving us very powerful LF Zenkai characters. I think they probably could have given Broly a little bit more, but I think they were kind of scared because Broly is a bit of a...
But I also at the same time feel that currently Kid Buu is like a tier above CMZ and not really on the same tier as him.
While I think these two LF Zenkai characters are probably just going to be more consistent in the results that you're going to get when using them. Fusion Zamasu, I'm assuming you guys have definitely fought Fusion Zamasu more than Kid Buu at this point. I mean, again, everyone's experience is going to be different, but I think I see Fusion Zamasu more.
100%.
Very strong character. He's essentially like the only very good red that exists right now.
Yeah, no, that's pretty true. He is like the only red.
Shenron has hurt him a little bit just because Zamasu obviously cannot really deal with indestructible. Prior to Omega coming out, and I'll talk about Omega more later as we get up to close to the top of the list here. Omega being able to be used on the Fusion Warrior team, and especially in combination with the fact that he's surrounded by characters that reduce ally subcount when they get Rising Rush and ultimated. It really reduces the effectiveness that Zamasu has in the ability to just main ability and Rising Rush and essentially just guaranteed kill anybody with his endurance nullification. So that in combination with the fact that I just think Zamasu at this point probably doesn't really have a great matchup against the Fusion Warrior team because you're also always going to be using Super Vegeta on that team as well. Has brought his value down a little bit, but he's still a very strong character. For Kid,
I think the other thing that Goresh isn't really talking about that brings Zamasu's value down currently, outside of obviously the indestructible and all these other things that Goresh has addressed, is that you're also seeing less Saiyans in the meta. And that is a big thing of what makes Zamasu so good is his stacking damage against Super Saiyan, or not Super Saiyans, his stacking damage against Saiyans. And that's just not something he's getting as much access to as really now that you have Omega, Kid Buu being more present in the meta, Golden Frieza. He's going to get it a little bit back now that Broly's going to be coming in. But that's another thing that's kind of bringing his value down.
And I talked about this a little bit in the prior section with Evil Buu. But I've definitely seen a massive uptick in the amount of Majin Buu Saga teams that I've encountered recently. And I think with the release of LF Omega Shenron, people are going to be more incentivized to run Kid Buu over Super Vegeta on the Buu Saga team, as crazy as that sounds. So there's two benefits to that. I think personally, I think Super Vegeta is a better character still and a better option than this Kid Buu. Kid Buu is going to...
I would have to disagree with that, only because I feel like Kid Buu on that Majin Buu Saga setup where he has access to two people canceling buff effects for him, as well as being on a full blast team when you are running that, as well as Zenkai buffing himself and getting the support. I feel like with all those things combined, he fits the flow of the team much better than Super Vegito does. And while Super Vegito, yes, he can just rush, and that is a big thing, Kid Buu can also just come in and do 3 blast cards and, oh, my health is gone because he has the better flow with the team. as well as the staying power as well. So I can kind of see, I do definitely see Goresh's point on Vegito being the better unit, but I think in terms of the team flow and how the team functions, Kid Buu does fit it better right now and takes advantages more of what the team provides.
Probably perform better directly against Omega Shenron. Vegito, of course, is going to be very apprehensive to Rising Rush with Omega existing on the opponent's team, which is a lot of the value you're getting from using Vegito. Kid Buu has the ability to go type neutral when he vanishes. Kid Buu also is going to play a bit of a better role as a cohesive addition to the team because, again, like I mentioned in the prior section, you can run Kid Buu and Evil Buu together and sort of build the team around a regen bench, and then you just throw Ultimate Gohan in the leader slot, and that's your Buu Saga team. It's Kid Buu, Evil Buu, and Ultimate Gohan leader slot. I've actually seen a lot of people running that variant of the Buu Saga team over a variant of the Buu Saga team that includes Super Vegito. So I think Kid Buu has definitely gained a lot of value in that department. Kid Buu also has the ability to just seemingly almost infinitely combo. One downside to Kid Buu is the very short window of cover nullification that he has. I think it's only 3 counts when he uses a blast card for the first time. So
100%. That cover null being so short as it is hurts a lot, especially with how long he wants to stay on the field. So it would be better if that was not something he had, but it is just simply one of the things that he lacks.
It sort of allows him to at least get going, but in terms of his staying power with cover null, it's very tough to string together like mega long combos if the opponent has like a double cover change character like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, and also enemy Evil Boos can be a problem for him. So, but overall, very strong character. Kid Buu, the thing with him too is if you go for a tackle and then a blast, or not tackle, a quick attack and a blast card, which is the way a lot of people tend to start combos these days. Kid Buu's Vanish Restoration is so fast that a lot of times when you go for that and Kid Buu vanishes the blast attack and you go for taps after that, Kid Buu's Vanish will already be back. So it's very tough to initiate against him, and the fact that he has endurance as well, I think, allows you to be a bit more lenient and liberal with how you be proactive with him and go on the offensive. So 2 very good Zenkai characters from the 6th anniversary, Kid Buu and Fusion Zamasu. Let's move on to number 6. Coming in at number 6 on the list is going to be LF Super Baby 2, and we can definitely say this is a character at this point that has certainly aged very well. He came out in March, it is now August, and he's still...
Can we stop with the baby glaze? Please. Like, he's a good unit, but like, he's nowhere... I can't imagine looking at Baby and thinking, yeah, this guy performs like a top 5 unit. Because that's basically where Goresh is putting him at. He's at top 6 right now. He's borderline on top 5. And it's just like, no. Baby is good. Baby is not that good. Baby doesn't have the defense level that he needs to be able to be at that level. And when he has his gauge active, the offensive gimmicks that he gets with it do help him out a lot into competing offensively. However, he doesn't always have them, and that's where his lacking shows. Not to mention, like, dude, he's basically a unit on their team that's going to get one shot by that Gogeta ult or the Rush or both. And you also have all these other units that are doing all these other things, and it's just like, Baby's just not, he's just not that guy, man. He's not that guy. He's good, but he's not that guy.
He's still hanging out around these like sort of very top tier options on the list here, kind of close. He's like in the middle of the list, but middle of top 10 is very, very strong. This guy definitely was helped, I think, with the release of Omega Shenron. They pair up very well. I think it's very obvious to me that...
In what world? In what world do they pair up well? You have Baby with his double offense Z ability already struggling to get enough strike attack for his strikes to matter, and you're pairing him with a blast unit. And then you're pairing the third unit, what, like UG4, so that you also don't have color synergy either? Like, in what world?
Omega was released in order to pair up very well with the GT villain characters. So this character and also Super 17. Super 17 is not on this list, but Super 17, I think, does actually get helped a decent bit by Omega.
See, now that's a good take. That is a good take. Super 17 gets helped out massively by Omega and pairs perfectly with Omega. That's what a perfect pairing looks like. But Baby...
the main thing that makes them really good with each other is, remember, Super Baby 2 reduces ally sub count by 5 when they use ultimates or rising rushes, and Omega on standby reduces his own sub count by 5 when the enemy does those things. So
that's like a standard thing most units on the team are doing. That's nothing special to be like, oh, this is like the greatest pairing.
you actually do have a combined minus 10 sub count to a character that has indestructible when you pair up this character alongside Omega. So they do work very, very well with each other. Also, color-wise, I think yellow is a very strong color right now. We'll see what happens once Broly releases. Obviously,
Yellow's like 2 units, realistically speaking. It's Gogeta Blue and like Baby. UI really isn't in the competition, and neither is Rage Shenron. Other than these two, Baby and GB. And it's an important color. Wouldn't necessarily say it's a strong color. Like, it's not threatening enough to where you really feel like you need to bring a red to counter it. That's what I would say is a strong color, is if it's strong enough to the point where you feel like you have to bring something to counter it. Like, with UG4...
with him being red, it could be an issue for this guy. I think 5. All right, so number 5 is going to be fusing Gogeta Blue. This character is still, I think, in a very good spot meta-wise, but it's a bit strange because I actually don't think they make Core Fusion Warrior. With the release of Omega Shenron, the one thing that the Fusion Warrior team really was...
In what world? Like, seriously. We just got done talking about how good of a synergy Baby and Omega are, but this guy's literally a 10 times better Baby with his defense, with his offense, with his gimmicks, being the only counter to that G4 gauge, and having a pseudo lock on his green that works against certain units. Obviously, it doesn't work against everyone. And we're sitting here like, you're not sure why he's top 5? Even though he should be higher? Just tired of the disrespect, man. Tired of it. She should not be questioned why Gogeta Blue is as good as Gogeta Blue is.
Lacking was Rising Rush defense. Some sort of endurance character, revival character, comeback, indestructible, and of course Omega being added to the Fusion Warrior team because they actually... I'm still not sure how I feel about the fact that he's on the Fusion Warrior tag, but he's on the Fusion Warrior tag. He has indestructible, and I think he does pair up pretty well with what the Fusion Warrior team wants to do. I think, in my opinion, the core Fusion Warrior team at this point is Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, Super Vegito, and Omega. And
No. Simply no. I feel like if you are going to run Omega, again, my opinion, if you're going to run Omega, you need to have a yellow to protect him. Otherwise, he loses a lot of his value because the moment you throw somebody out there, G4 is going to shred through your Omega. And if you try to switch, G4 is going to shred through that person. And you're getting either rushed or you're getting ulted and you're losing a unit pretty much guaranteed. Even with the -5 and all these other things, G4 can just press a green card. And I can't -5 shiz. And I'm just getting ulted and I'm losing a unit, or I'm getting rushed and I'm losing a unit. Whether it's from G4 or SV, etc., the point still applies. That's just how that's going to go. And I feel like if you're going to run Omega, having a yellow with him increases his value substantially, because then he actually gets to take advantage of the different things he has. Otherwise, he kind of just gets melted through because G4 is the best unit in the game. I would say the better fusion core is to run GB, Omega, and G4. And even though, you lose the guaranteed rush, the whole point of you running Omega is so that guaranteed rush that Vegito gets isn't detrimental because you have this unit to take it. And even though, you lose it on your own, instead you get a unit who bypasses every mechanic in the game in his combo and has the pseudo lock and has this extra health bar and is tanky as heck. And you get a lot, man. And he has Dragon Ball destruction as well. So that's what I would go with.
I unfortunately don't think Gogeta Blue is going to make the cut onto there. You could certainly opt to go with Gogeta Blue over Super Vegito on that team. I think that definitely could work as well, but I just think at this point, most people would agree that Super Vegito is the superior character to this guy. But again, I'm not going to really.
I'm just not most people, chat.
This guy because they do still work very well in this. Like you're not going to see a supremely vast difference in results if you decide to go with like this character over Vegito on Fusion Warriors or this character over Omega on Fusion Warriors. I just think Omega brings more to the table that the team needed than this character. And that's why I had to bump them down a little bit on the list, even though I do still think they're a very effective character right now. They're still going to work really well in like movies.
Fair take in regards to Omega, but I don't think that's enough to put Gogeta under him. That's all I have to say on that.
Number 4 is going to be LF Omega Shenron.
Not too far off of where I had him. I had him at number 5 as well. So 5 to 4, pretty close.
I do think they designed this guy very well. I'm not a huge fan of like RNG mechanics like paralysis and feint. So I'm not really a huge fan of the feint aspect of this guy, but pretty much everything else I do really like. I guess the only other criticism I have for this character is the blue card being a projectile. You can definitely make some plays out of the fact that it's a projectile, but I would have preferred if it was just a normal, like, ranged blue. Discussing the Fusing Gogeta Blue character, I think this guy actually ends up replacing Fusing Gogeta Blue on optimal core fusion. Destructible, survivability. I think Omega has a better two-way game than Gogeta does, right? And what I mean by that is it works and it adds to the strength of the character over buffs. And remember, his ultimate is buffing Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta's ultimate, because when he pops his ultimate, he's giving ultimate damage and blue card damage to the whole team. So
see, that's a good point that Omega does that, but you also have to keep in mind that most of the time you're popping the Gogeta ult before Omegas and you're not going to actually get that support active for your G4. So that is another thing to consider, especially the second ultimate, because his second ult is locked behind somebody dying. I would say you're sacking off this guy first a lot of the time, so there's very rare situations where you see that.
Imagine buffing Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta's ultimate. It's pretty crazy. And then on top of that, this guy isn't like completely dead in the water versus Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta either, because he does every single time when he swaps in get type neutral for the first few counts, and that's offensively as well as defensively. So you can actually come in, pop your main ability, and just straight up kill Super Saiyan 4 Gogetas with this guy's ultimate potentially. So powerful opponent he worked really well on. You can face them numerous times. Number 3 is going to be Fusing Super Vegito, who I think probably got hurt a little bit due to Omega Shenron releasing. They do work together really well, so it was kind of tough for me to really move this character like way down on the list because of Omega releasing. But I do think they probably
that means he probably has Ulton at 2.
Again, they work really well with each
which is
one way or the other. But of course, you guys know how well
it's a take
works, on Fusion Warriors.
I don't think it's a bad take necessarily.
Specifically for Buu Saga, probably.
But I don't know.
Honestly, the Kid Buu variant over this character on Buu Saga. But I mean, this character's going to work well on pretty much any team you put them on anyway. Sub-count manipulation defensively, they have the full card destruction ability. It has so hard. This character, I've seen one-shot full health Super Saiyan 4 Gogetas with Fuse Super Vegito's blue card like raw. It is very crazy how much damage this character does. They have a very annoying mechanic in the...
They do a lot of damage, but it is very inconsistent, I'd say. It's very dependent on how many times you've been hit to get their extra damage buffs. So that is one thing to consider. Yes, they do a lot of damage, but they can be inconsistent with it.
Form of blue card and ultimate card locks, which actually I think does work pretty well. Doesn't really work on this guy because they have some in the fight the fusion much times. All right, number 2 is going to be LF Ultimate Gohan. Not going to go into excruciating detail here because you guys all know how this guy works. I'm actually
Ultimate Gohan. I think his value shoots up because of Omega. He's a perfect counter to Omega, and he was already in a pretty good spot. Only really gets countered by the Gogeta Blue, and I guess Baby, but he doesn't really care about UG4's ult. He just nullifies the endurance null on it, and it's like, whoop-de-doo, man. And he still has an absolutely ridiculous setup of infinite green cards, infinite blue cards, and just constant changing of that. Just a phenomenal unit, man. I'm not surprised he's at 2. I can definitely see that. As much as I was going through it a little bit when I saw Vegito at 3, I can definitely see this.
Really not a huge fan of this character. I really don't enjoy fighting against him. This is a character where you can sort of just, spam blues and greens from full screen, and you can probably win a lot of fights. Debuffing against Blast, really simple. Even like the free-to-play 18. But at the end of the day, have aged. Getting a Zenkai. I believe his Zenkai will probably release on the 21st. Literally aren't and there's not really So low character only can flip side. Good, this guy. Okay, surprise, surprise. Number
There's
one is
the
Ultra
goal!
Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta.
That's my
Just an
boy right
absolute
there.
Animal of
That
a
is my
character.
boy.
Hardest hitting
King
ultimate
of
in the
Legends.
game, has the most
That's who he is.
potent disrupt in the game. I mean, he just does everything. I mean, the only thing he's really not doing in the game since this, with the gauge activate between the anniversary and Legend. 7 and 8 was a shared spot between LF Senkai Kid Buu and LF Senkai.
Not much to say about Ultra Super Saiyan for Gogeta. He is just him, and that's pretty much what Goresh is reiterating here. With that being said, I think Goresh's list overall is pretty solid. Couple places I disagree with, couple units I disagree with, but for the most part, pretty solid snapshot of the meta, especially for the JP side of the game. With that being said, this is your boy Eisen, signing out. With that being said, this is your boy Eisen, signing out.
Senkai Fusion Zamasu. Number 6.